What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of A Great Conversation here on Nerds and Suits. Today, my guest is Kelsey Darragh. She's a writer, she's an actress, she's a comedian, she's hilarious. She's someone I dated many, many years ago. And Kelsey and I had not gotten to catch up like this, in this kind of an honest setting in some time. It's really, really cool to look back and then look at today and kind of see where we've gotten to in our lives. Where our careers have grown to. It was a trip down memory lane, definitely some good laughs, and I just think good conversation. I think you guys will like Kelsey a lot. She's crushing it right now, doing a lot of really, really cool stuff. So thank you so much, guys, for watching, for listening to the show. Be sure to leave a comment when the episode is over. And, of course, get excited about my very first original show in almost 7 years. I'll be playing some of the new album. It's going to be available on Stage It. You guys can see the link in the description below. The tickets are almost sold out already, which is really amazing. I'm very humbled by the kind of support you guys have shown for it, but get excited. It's November 21st at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So thank you guys so much for watching, and a big time thank you to my infinity patrons in the Nerd Network. Nicole Krafik, thank you so much for your support there. Stay tuned after the show to hear your name if you are a Double Diamond patron, and thank you guys so much for every bit of support you show me here on Nerds and Suits. Enjoy the show. It's been a couple years. I think I saw you at VidCon, and then I was working for this app, and I tried to sell you on this app. That was, I think, the last interaction we had.
Okay, see, this just goes to prove how much me getting sober was needing to happen, because I don't remember that.
Well, okay, to be totally fair to you, so like I was working, do you know Anchor.fm?
No.
Okay, so Anchor is this great podcasting platform. They host tons and tons of stuff.
Oh, yes, I know Anchor.
Yeah, and when they launched, they were a content platform as well, and they hired all these creators to do short form shows, because the whole original Anchor idea was that they were going to be this audio app that was like short form, like between like 3 and 6 minutes or whatever. So this one year, because I was one of their launch partners, I went to VidCon, and I was like supposed to basically talk to creators about Anchor, and I was like, I saw you in the like creator lounge or whatever.
Oh no.
And we were like talking, and I was like, you should use this app. And you were like, are you really trying to sell me on this fucking app right now? And then and I was like, fair. This is like the backstage area. Like
that sounds like me. And I hope that was as sassy as I got with you.
No, I mean, yeah, that was about it. So
the thing is with VidCon though, that's surprising that you were there to sell something, because everyone is there to drink.
Yeah.
Not actually do work.
That's fair. I definitely, I probably had some drinks at that VidCon, I would think, though.
Yeah.
Harder. I was there in the daytime, and I like had to drive back home to LA. So yeah, all the creators I've talked to that tell me that VidCon nowadays is like totally game-changingly different than it used to be. Like old VidCon, apparently was just like a fucking party, and now it's just like a big advertisement.
Oh, for sure. I mean, once big brands got involved, it lost its like edge, I think. Like you wanted to be an OG VidConer, right? Like back when the Green Brothers ran it, and then now they sold it, and yeah, it became a big advertising thing. But it's just like it's like the Olympics, you know how they say like at Olympic Park every athlete's just like fucking each other, really.
Okay.
Can I cuss on this?
Yeah. Be my guest. Yeah.
Okay. That's like VidCon. It's just like YouTubers are taking it as the chance to just fuck each other.
Yeah. It's that's what it seems like. I only I went one time in that ad capability, and then I went like a couple times as like guests of friends, and it did just seem like a big party. But yeah, I was never like in the digital space as much when I think it was a big party, and then and then now it's like I feel like people I work with are all too old to be a VidCon or something like that.
Well, yeah, it's weird. I turned 30 this year, which means you also turned
32. Yeah.
So yeah, we're like in our 30s now. Ew. But it's online this year. VidCon's online this year. So I agreed to do it because I don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I didn't go the last year or two or something, because I was like, oh, fuck no, I'm not trying to drive down to Anaheim. Bunch of kids. But now it's online.
I'm like, I'm pretty out of touch with like that. I mean, I'm trying to be more in touch with like the young video culture, because like it does seem like at this moment TikTok is the future.
Oh, love TikTok.
Are you a big fan actually, or are you fucking with
me? Dude, no, I have a problem. I'm on it like 3 hours a day.
Wow.
It's like, but for me, here's my argument, and I tell everyone this. I've learned more on TikTok than I've ever learned in my entire year of the public education system.
It's a fair point. I said
Yeah.
this the other day when we were talking about politics on Action Industries, and we were having a whole conversation the day before the election. This is going to air, by the way, after
we find out who our fucking president is.
Please, yeah, this will air like a week from. But I'm bad with math, but it'll air after. Hopefully, we have our president. And we were talking about the day before the election, like the importance of voting. And I was saying, I think what's interesting is that the younger generation's showing up because of social media over the last like 5 to 10 years has become this educational platform in a way that I really don't think anything existed for young people before.
You know, like, our generation got the wave of it being bad for our self-esteem. Yeah. Like just making us feel bad about ourselves that we're not skinny and hot. And then the generation below us was like, fuck that. Let's make it something positive, I think.
Yeah. Here's how to change a tire. Here's how to change a state. Here's how to, you know,
yeah.
Like, yeah. And so all right. You're on TikTok. Do you like post a lot or you just watch?
I post a lot. I didn't at first. I was a lurker. I was hardcore lurker, like same as Reddit. Yeah. Like, but then it's the same thing as Reddit. Like as soon as you step your foot in, it's like you fall through the fucking hole and you're in it every day. And with Reddit, I go in and out of phases. Yeah. But with TikTok, I have been so sucked in for the pure fact that it is not only like their algorithm is the smartest algorithm I've ever fucking seen, just as far as like catering your page and like catering the videos that come to you. But then the expanse that it brings creators to you, where some I'm like, oh, I would never watch this video. That's maybe 1 out of every 50 videos that I'm like, this is stupid. I'm not going to watch the whole thing. Yeah. Which makes me like appreciate how well curated their materials are for me. Because if I'm watching 49 videos in a row, they've done something correct. And like, dude, I've built a garden. I've redone my fucking RV. Like I am learning a new language. I'm learning jokes in Spanish. Like I'm learning so much about culture. It's just like chef's kiss.
You're learning jokes in Spanish. So did you drop that? So I would put you on the spot to tell a joke in Spanish?
No, I can't.
What feels like this happened.
I can't tell them yet, but I can understand them.
Ah, okay.
I can start to understand Spanish now.
That's awesome. Yeah, I only follow a couple people, and I just like in the last like 2 weeks started posting music stuff every day. That's what I'm trying to do music stuff on TikTok. That's like what I want to do with it. But the people I watch and follow, I find it so funny what I find entertaining on TikTok.
Yeah.
Because like I was sort of embarrassed to be even like, I mean, a year ago, TikTok was like, we were just made fun of people that were on TikTok.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we don't fucking,
And even probably as long as 6 months ago, it was still like the butt of a lot of jokes, like, but now I literally, there's this couple, I think Mike and Kat is their name, this married couple. And they're just literally, they post stupid videos of the two of them, like pranks on each other. And they're just adorable. And I love their videos. And
it's serotonin.
Yeah.
It's pure serotonin.
And I just like watch their stuff. There's these brothers, these dudes, they're like UPS drivers and they're tatted up. They're full fucking body tattoos. And they just vibe to this one song, the same song, every single video.
And you'll watch it, right?
And they're like the most frequently played on my feed because like I watch them and I'm like, this shit is like, why are these guys funny to me?
It's so randomly entertaining. Like everything is a surprise or a mystery, or even if you know what the punchline is going to be or what the ending is going to be, you're still watching it. And that's what I think I like.
So what are you putting on there as far as your content goes? Are you like trying all different shit?
When I started, I literally just wanted my username because that's like the first thing. I was like, I should just make one so that no one can like take my username. So I did it just for that. So my first video, I think, is me just like staring at the screen, like, like how do I TikTok? Good. And then I started watching DIY videos, and it probably upticked during quarantine because like I had nothing but Adderall in time. And so I got really balls deep into DIY talk, is what we call it, DIY talk. And I started posting me renovating this RV, and that kind of took off of like people wanting to follow the van build and like learning from how I did that. And then I actually was able to transition that to be like, if you want to see more, like go to my YouTube channel, or like if you want something more in depth, follow me on Instagram. So it was a good way to cross promote my socials because not weirdly, I know exactly why. In the last like 6 months, 6 months it's been really bad, but I would say for the last like 15 months, basically ever since the election campaign cycle started again, I started losing followers like crazy on Instagram because I was posting nothing but political commentary, movement, reposts, et cetera, et cetera. And I just started losing followers like crazy. And I was like, you know what? If people aren't following me because I'm like starting to step into an arena that I don't normally post about, like that's their fucking thing. I'm not mad about it. I'm not happy about it. I just felt pretty neutral about it. So I kind of like put Instagram to bed in my mind. I was like, I know I have to do it because that's a way for me to connect with my audience. And I know I have to do it because it helps me understand culture, because that's like my obsession, right? But I am like super fucking way more balls deep in trying to grow my TikTok right now. Like the fact that Gen Z thinks I'm funny, I'm like, oh, that hits harder than heroin, man. Like that hits harder than Instagram. Fuck Instagram.
I'm waiting for like my first thing on TikTok to like catch. I had like, I've like I said, I've only been out for a couple of weeks. By the way, those that are watching this is the most you've ever heard me talk about TikTok, but I'm so excited to finally talk to someone where I can like gush about it.
Too much.
I feel like letting the Mike and Kat and those tatted up dudes out of the bag was like, that was like my secret. And now someone knows. Now
Now a lot of people know. Yeah. Well, music talk is hard though. You should know. Music talk is like a very hard game to break into.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, there's a lot of really talented people on there that are doing really interesting shit, but I've tried all kinds of stuff. Like I have like one of those oversized foam red hats. So I the other day I was like, my name's Ben. I wear a foam hat and play old 90s pop covers. And then I sing Baby One More Time. And I was like, maybe this will work. And it like worked better than other videos did.
There you go.
Right. And then
what's your TikTok?
Ben Bateman Media.
Oh, here we go down the rabbit hole.
But I have no followers. I mean, I like literally.
No, but it's good. I bet you'll gain one. Bateman Media. I had to make sure your last name was Bateman, not Bateman.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Very cool.
Yeah, so I've just started doing that. But on the subject of my social handle, so you might not remember this, but by the way, those of you that are watching and listening, Kelsey and I dated for a couple months years ago, like 6 or 7 years ago.
14, 15? That whole
sounds right.
Yeah, that whole period of my life is a blur.
And we met playing beer pong at like Buzzbees or something like that.
Yo, Buzzbees! God, did you ever go back there?
I don't think I might have gone back once. It's hard for me to remember. My only memory of Buzzbees, I mean, obviously aside from us meeting, is that I was playing beer pong and like, and this is probably just me like remembering it this way, but I was on fire. It was the best beer pong I've ever played. Like I was doing like step back, just like it was incredible. Yeah. It was amazing. And I've never been able to match that total ever again. It was my greatest beer pong. But I bring all this up to say, all those years ago, we were talking about social media because like I had not really gotten into any kind of anything yet. I like didn't really know what I was doing yet, I think.
I remember you was like really going hard into the music thing.
Yeah, I think around that time that was like the second time where I kind of got back into it. But even then I was doing it, but I had zero audience. There was nobody paying any attention. So I was just playing it and excited about it. And I had just like started a Twitter and my it was Ben_Bateman, I think, because Ben Bateman was gone. And I was asking you about it because you had a pretty successful Twitter already. And I remember, yeah, I mean, or somewhat. I mean, I had nothing like now, but I mean, definitely, I had I had like 114 followers or something like that. You know what I mean?
Nice. Yeah.
And so I was asking you about it, and you were like, "Yeah, Ben_Bateman's like probably not the best username
because it's like the most. It's the most like common name ever.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing to it. So I remember when I told you, I was like, "Yeah, I changed it on all platforms to Ben Bateman Media. I was able to get it on Instagram and on Twitter." And you were like, "Oh, that's great." You were like, "That's way better." And it's that was you who suggested that. So it's been that way ever since.
Wow, I feel very special. But I do think it like holds something because it's a brand. Like you could be like BBM, Big Ben Media. Like you could be so many things with Ben Bateman Media, and like owning that brand I think is important, especially because what you've done with your career now is like being in front of the camera. Like you are media, and media is such a evergreen word, and like the way that's going to shape and like amalgamate, it's still going to be media. And I think like it'll hold until at least our generation dies.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I hope, yeah, I hope something can come out of all these social media platforms that's of value. But I mean, TikTok, as we're talking about, definitely seems like it does feel like content. I can't say it's good content. And
you're wrong. You're so wrong. I hate
Really?
how wrong you are.
Okay.
You're so wrong.
Please enlighten me.
It is every entertainment thing you need. It's what you go to YouTube for. It's where you go to Twitter to get your news. It's comedy from TV. It's Instagram from Thoughties. It's like every piece of entertainment that you go to other social media platforms for wrapped up into one. Like I follow political advocates that are giving you like real time edits at like what's happening on the ground in Portland. Like I was able to see that in more raw imagery than anything that was showing on Twitter on the news. Like it's kind of like World Star in that sense, where you're like, oh, you go here to see censored content. But then the like next slide is like a dog seeing its owner for the first time since getting a new haircut. And like that is also very good for me.
All of the content you're talking about, whether it's like that's like journalistic stuff, DIY, even just like stuff that makes you feel good. To me, that's all valuable. What I'm talking about is like when I'll be scrolling through and it's like literally it'll just show me like a string of like girls in loose tops like just bouncing up and down, and I'll be like, these people are getting a lot of likes on this and a lot of followers, and like this is deemed good content because it's getting views and likes. It's hard for me to think of that as like this is quality content because people are watching it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sure. Like, why is something going viral? I do think they have some kinks to fix with like in regard to what like a view being equals good means, because they do pull a lot of content, like anything that's like violent or harmful or whatever they'll pull. So they do keep it safe to a degree, almost to like some girl singing is going to get 20 million views and you're like, oh, now she's a billionaire. But it was like kind of the same thing with YouTube or Instagram, right? Where it's like, you didn't really need much personality to get successful. But to counter that point, I think the fact that it's video is what makes it so much more successful than Instagram, I think is going to be. I mean, like, we'll see what happens with this whole fucking sale of it or whatever. But to me, it's like Instagram became a highlight reel, and TikTok users who are like in it don't give a fuck about aesthetic. And those tween like musically dancers that I think you are talking about are coming on your page because they're trying to see what you do and don't like. So if you don't like it, like don't heart it and don't watch the whole thing. Like you will get your shit catered to you. I'm like months in now. Like my For You page is so specific that I'm like, man, they really should just at me in these videos. But like, you'll get there. I have faith.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm on it. I am on it daily right now. So, you know, I'm excited to. I'm having fun like growing it and like trying different shit out. And the original music aspect is the thing that I'm probably the most excited about. Is like, you know, I did the thing where I was like, okay, this is a chorus to a song I like. Here are the lyrics. It's about this. You know, maybe that'll track. Like, I even tried something political yesterday, like a song about. I mean, very very vanilla, but like just a general like song about the idea of like what it's like to be watching all this shit happening. And I was like, maybe that'll track. It didn't.
Can you sing it
right now?
Sing it. Go, Ben. Go.
Yeah. I'm gonna be cutting this part. I'm just kidding. No.
You don't ever sing on your podcast?
On this show, no. I like have, I guess, probably. I mean, on this channel, definitely. I do a ton of music on this channel. And I think actually this is gonna post the Friday before I play my first show back.
Wow. Oh, shit.
Yeah, because I haven't played a live show in almost 6 or 7 years.
What?
Yeah, I got out of music totally in 2015.
Whoa.
And I think the last time I played live was 2014. So I obviously it's digital, but there's only 50 tickets because I like want this to be a small thing. But
oh my God. So you're playing an online concert.
Yeah, I'm like a full on like 10 or 11 songs, 3 of the new ones. Yeah, 3 old ones, 3 new ones, and then probably like about five or so covers. So
now, are you doing like just straight music, or are you like gonna interact in between?
Yeah, I'm gonna interact. I'll probably do because some of what the songs are about. I'll talk about you know, that type of shit. And
that's really cool.
It should be interesting. Yeah, if you guys want tickets, I don't know if there'll be any left by the time this actually airs because it's pretty
you're
small.
so popular.
Well, I just made it small so that it would sell out. But
and because you're popular.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
It's hard to sell stuff. Like it's hard to sell yourself. So like 50 tickets, don't knock it, man. That's a lot of tickets.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I put it up this week, and I think there's about 20 left. So
we're, amazing.
Yeah. Well, again, this week, last week. So, but whatever. But the point being, I do play a lot of music on this channel because that is kind of the thing I'm trying to get more into. Actually, you know what the coolest thing is? This I will show you. So, grab this off the wall here. So this is my new guitar I just got.
Ooh, is that mother of pearl?
Oh yeah, this shit is. So it's a Gibson Hummingbird.
Ah, beautiful.
It is the most expensive thing I've ever bought in my life, other than a car.
Oh God.
And it was paid for almost 50% by the viewers of this channel.
Oh my God! Thank you, viewers.
Yeah, you guys all raised the money on my Monday streams over the course of about 6 weeks, and then I sold a shitload of Magic cards for the rest of it.
Oh wow! So Magic, you're like still.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even think I was doing a podcast about it when you and I were hanging out, but I started the podcast in like that fall. So yeah, a few months after you and I were, and that's been every week for 6 years. I've been doing a podcast about it.
Holy fuck!
Yeah.
Were you ever like in the big tournaments, like champion?
I never made a pro tour, but in terms of the podcast got pretty big, so we'd fly around the various like conventions and stuff like that, and we'd get hosted on panels.
Oh, fuck, that's so cool!
It's been really, really fun.
That's other material you gave me, was learning about MTG and being like, so I was dating this like super hot guy who looks nothing like the typical MTG player. And people would be like, "What's MTG?" I'd be like, "I'm so glad you asked. It's Magic." Exactly what you're thinking. A grown adult man playing with Magic card. Like, I didn't know anything about Magic until you. And I bought a mat, didn't I?
You bought cards, yeah. Here's my question. Shot out of a cannon right now. If I got to listen to all of your stand-up in the 6 years after we hung out, how offended would I be about material that came from you shitting on me? like scale of 1 to 10, how offended?
Dude, not at all, because I backed everything up with like, you super hot. So hot, which like ranked over everything in your early 20s, right? You're like, is he a good person? Nah, we didn't date long enough to really get down to it.
It was a long time ago. That was a wild summer.
Ooh.
You got to hang out with like a lot of my, Andrew. You guys became buddies.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, we still work together all the time.
No way.
Action Industries is our brand. We're writing a whole series right now. We're like,
oh yeah.
That's
always a good sign, is when the guy you like has good friends. Like if you vibe with his friends, that's dope. Because I think like a lot of people put up with their person's friends, and that's never a good thing. Like that, they say the 5 closest people that you spend like the most time with is actually a reflection of what you are. So like if you think about like the 5 people you hang out with the most, if like they're super successful and like drinking a lot and doing a lot of coke, like you're going to be really successful and do a lot of coke too. Not me, not what I'm doing. I wish I could still do coke. God, I miss it. But no, I thought that was an interesting thing. Like, who are my 5 people I don't even know during quarantine?
That's the point you just made there is, I think, the key to it. Cause like, I literally this morning woke up and was just like, fucking scatterbrained today. Like I'm trying to get my shit together. And then I was like, you know what? I need to go outside and just walk around in the outside for a few minutes, because like I'm not gonna see anyone today. I'll probably walk past my neighbors, I guess. But
God. Do you still live in that same area? I won't say it, but like, do you still live in that same area?
I mean, Santa Monica for sure. And I actually live, I live close to my old place. Actually,
cool.
Yeah. I was in that place for a long time, and then I've been in this place now for a year and a half, going on 2 years.
Well, at least you're by the beach. At least you're like by outdoor activities.
Oh yeah. And I love Santa Monica. Like, I always did. And I feel like I've been in LA for 11 years now, and like 8.5, 9 of them. Yeah. Okay. How did you feel when you hit 10?
Fucking like I've been here a day and also a million years my whole life.
Yeah.
You're never going to leave, right?
Never.
Me neither. But then quarantine happened, and I kind of was like, oh, fuck, I could go live somewhere else for a little bit and get out of my system.
So I went to Seattle for 2.5 weeks, which is
That's
the
where you're
longest I've
from,
been.
right?
Yeah, it was the longest I've been home in 10 years.
Whoa.
Yeah, because I haven't. I mean, 11 years really. Like the longest I ever go home for is like 5 days, and even that's too long for me now. I like start to freak out.
Yeah.
2.5 is about my like standard trip now. But I drove, and I got the guitar. Right, that was the point. Was get the guitar, finish the album, right on the road, the whole thing.
Oh,
and,
cool.
which is why I had to get it in time. And so I got out there, and like I just was there, and I was like, this is absent of all the like LA bullshit and all the like metrics and fucking followers and all that. I was like, but you know what? I would be miserable living here because not only is the weather awful, but like nobody here I feel like is like I love the city. Like I hate all the stuff that I just talked about. All the like we measure ourselves by the metrics. And I hate the idea that like the older you get, the more it feels like the city just doesn't age with you. Like there's all that stuff. But I just love it here. I
agree.
Yeah, I just love it. Like I never want to leave. I
like how it's its own like environment, right? Like you go 20 minutes north, you can be in the mountains. You go 20 minutes south, you can be in sand dunes. You go east, you can be in like I do too. But what's interesting is like what kind of conversations I've been having since quarantine's happened has been like with a lot of like future thinkers and like biohackers and shit. And everyone's talking about these like future villages and like sustainable towns and like, if civil war going to break out, like, the people who have self-sustaining life would be far more prepared. And like, for some reason, I'm like, I feel like those people think they're better than me because they can be out in the forest without Instagram. And I'm like, why does me liking TikTok make me such a bad person? I like it. It entertains me. It gives me new hobbies. In fact, like, fuck, all these people who are like, LA, man, cities are out. Like, people genuinely think like cities are going to be gone in like 50 years. And I'm like, fucking, you're going to have to drag me out by my toes because I'm going to stay here. I like busyness. I like things.
Me too. And the funniest thing about the quarantine bit has been that like, I feel really fortunate to live where I live because like life out here has been affected obviously, but I can still ride my bike to Montana and every store that I was going to, they're all still open and it's sunny. So I can sit outside and I can sit outside by myself and eat a meal. And I live by myself. I don't have to see any elderly people. So like, I don't really have to like, as long as I'm careful, I don't really have to worry about the off chance that I might contract COVID and then kill someone. Like, I'm going to wear a mask. So, I'm going to come home. Like, and I do feel like on some level, if I lived in a shittier part of the world or in like a place, I just around less people in like a less main city, it might not be the case. Places would go out of business. Like I have a lot more outside I could go into, but that's not really what I want.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. There is something really special about this place where even during quarantine, we've all have found a way to keep it like still very LA.
Yeah. Now the content side of things, this is what I want to ask you about. So like you create content, obviously it sounds like TikTok. I know I remember a few years ago you had a show, was Watchable. Was that the app? Was that what it was called?
Oh yeah. I did a show for like, it was an app that was sort of like the Go 90s, but it was for Comcast. So they put it on all of their like Fire Sticks. I don't know if Fire Sticks is the right word. So it was like a digital / TV show. So I made that like 10 episodes for them. Wow, that was a throwback. You were in it, right? We asked you to be in an episode?
Was that show? It? Or wait, no, you were. I shot something at BuzzFeed that you did.
Yeah, I think we put it on BuzzFeed as promotion for the show, and I think we might have put it in the show.
Oh, the ex-boyfriend's video where the guy with the bag over his head.
Yeah, my actual ex-boyfriend. Oh my God, poor guy. We're friends now. I'm friends with all my exes.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I'm having a great time talking to you. This is
the least
bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
No. What you were saying, you were talking about the app and then BuzzFeed. What I was gonna ask you about though was like when you're creating content now and it's in quarantine and movie theaters are closed and like, the way we're all consuming content now is like, does it all feel exactly the fucking same to you? Like nothing feels special because it's just like there's nothing that differentiates any of it. You understand what I'm saying?
It feels all like digital on your phone for sure, but.
Nobody feels like they're actually getting anywhere.
Well, you're like me in that you like the magic of cinema. Like you like the idea of a grand opening, like you appreciate the work of what a film takes to make. Like, I miss movie theaters more than I miss anything, because that was my self-care. Like every Sunday, without doubt, I was at a movie theater like by myself, 11 a.m. seeing like an early matinee. And I miss that so much. And people already were talking about how movie theaters were done and like features were like done, unless it was a big superhero thing. And I hate that quarantine has kind of played into that narrative, because it does feel a little bit like that special thing is gone. Like, what can we compare that to? Is like, what was the one movie that got released over quarantine? The Christopher Nolan Tenet. So I heard about it. I wasn't like, no one was like jerking off over it in my group text or anything. And it was my partner's birthday and he wanted to see it. And I was like, oh, fine. I fucking guess I'll figure out how to see it. And we went to a drive-in and it was so fun. And the movie was so good. And I was so thankful that I got that little outlet, because there is something to that like grand scale feeling of watching content, but I wouldn't necessarily say like the content has gotten worse. I just think the way we're consuming it doesn't feel as grandiose. Like, have you thought or talked about on here the rise and fall of Quibi?
Not really. I mean, it was interesting. I went out for several of those shows when they were launching.
I bet you did, like as a host. Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, Andrew and I we both went out for the E! News one, and a bunch of my friends went out for the Rotten Tomatoes one. Like, and obviously, my friend Will had a show that they launched with, and that's over now. And like,
I said from day fucking one when Jeffrey Katzenberg came out with his like article that was going to be a failure, and I think it would have failed with or without the pandemic, because it is so old school thinking. Like, it really is a bunch of dinosaurs with deep pockets, not paying attention to the way that young people consume media. And guess what? Older crowds too, they know how to work a DVR system. They have Apple TV. Their kids have set them up with streaming services and apps that they don't want that shit either. And to me, it was like they were trying to force the old way of content down our throats with this like new special way of doing it. And it was like, I don't want to watch a movie on my phone when I can watch it on my big screen TV. Like, that's not going to change.
Yeah. Well, I think, so you mentioned the movie thing, and one of the things that happened in the last few years was I got to become a movie critic. That was like a thing that happened, was like I developed those relationships, and then eventually was able to reach out to them. And when the gig with Anchor started, like, was like, I can review movies. I can be your weekly movie review show on this platform. Cool. And because of that, I ended up so I got to, screen everything early. That all ended very abruptly in March. And my week of screening 3 to 4 movies a week and reviewing everything is gone. Like, one of the things that I was like the most excited about that I had found in my career, and there was a bunch that I was really stoked on before this all started, but that was one of the ones where I was like, I loved it. I loved every week going to the ArcLight or going to, wherever, the Grove, and like, didn't even matter if it was bad. I didn't really care. It was fun to be there, to see all the other critics, to like be on that, even if it was a few days early. Usually the magic of that was still so real for me. And I'm with you totally. Like, I miss them. But here's the thing. I think the silver lining on this is, while I do think movie theaters are not going to be what they were before, I do think AMC will go bankrupt. And I think
I just switched over from ArcLight to AMC, and it ripped a hole in my soul to do that, because I am an ArcLight hoe for life.
Yeah, I love
it. And now I'm like, fuck, AMC's gonna go bankrupt, aren't they?
But here's the thing. Think about it like this, right? So they're going to go bankrupt, and Fauci says that we won't be back to normal until 2022, right? Yeah. Now, I think that's an over-exaggeration. I think. Say what?
I don't think so. I think people are fucking dumb, and they're going to keep this shit spreading.
Yeah, well, what I mean is I think that there will be a vaccine that starts getting distributed next year sometime. And I think as soon as that happens, people will start going back out, even if they don't have it yet. I just think the idea that it's coming is going to get people out there. But think about the real estate. These fucking movie theaters are all going to close. And then they're just going to still be movie theaters. What, they're going to tear down all the movie theaters before somebody comes in with a shitload of money and buy them?
Fucking turn them into parking garages. Parking garages in Los Angeles are like precious commodities.
I mean, that's LA. I think somebody will buy all the movie theaters and just reopen because people will still want to go see movies in theaters. Now, I don't think it'll be as many. Maybe we lose 30%.
Are people making movies for the theater anymore? Like, I think one thing quarantine has taught us is that they've had to figure out how to adapt or die. And do you think they're going to adapt and then go back to the old way of like making things? Like, what was the big one that had to go digital? Was it Trolls?
Early on, Trolls did. Mulan was, I think, the biggest.
I'm curious how Mulan did because I still have not seen that. And I was so fucking hyped to see it. Like, if that was in a theater, I probably would have seen it twice by now.
Yeah, but here's I think you're kind of actually making my point, which is that thank you. Yeah. In a few years, maybe in 10 years, we'll be at a point where the idea of a premium product being released digitally will be the norm. And it will no longer be a question of, do we treat it the same way? Because the people who are 15 right now will be post-college, like some getting married and having kids, right? The people who are like high school age right now, who are like consuming the idea of this and witnessing the change, will be old enough where they're going to be the ones making those decisions. But right now, there's no doubt you and I feel the same way, which is like, if Mulan was in a theater, we would have treated it like a real movie. But because it wasn't, we didn't really treat it like a real movie. We treated it like a half movie. And for that reason, we didn't see it. And we might never see it because the most that you actually see, and that one had a fucking premiere, which is the crazy part. It had an actual premiere and never opened. But movies that get released, like I'll take like King of Staten Island as a good example. Like, you know, Apatow's a big director. Like he makes movies that I like to see. I still haven't watched that movie because like there's nothing telling me to watch that movie after about a week of it streaming. Now it's gone.
Fair. Well, I can't remember if I saw King of Staten Island or the other one that he's in, because the fact that Pete Davidson did 2 fucking East Coast movies where he plays the same guy was his own goddamn fault. Because I think while Apatow's great, I don't know that like an indie, like the way they had that promoting, like very grayscale, very like feels was gonna do well in a theater anyway. I don't think that would have crushed in the box office. I think the only thing that was really hype before we left to quarantine was big box office superhero shit and documentaries. Like docs were about to get their fucking rise. And now what did docs do? They just sold to every other platform and they probably stayed alive. Like look at Tiger King, right? Like that was always meant to be a series. Carol Baskin's innocent. But I don't think that there was a chance for a movie like that to do well in the theater pre-quarantine either way. And it probably did worse because of quarantine.
I guess my point is that I don't know that. I don't think you can milk the idea that if all content becomes released digitally and it's all going to be promoted as like streaming, they won't make as much money. Hence, they won't make the same shit. Everything will get watered down. And then once it really gets watered down, then I think stuff starts to get lost in the shuffle. In the same way right now that like if you're a YouTube show, I feel like you're diluted so hard since quarantine started. Everything I was involved in that was doing really well just before, it's like a third of the views now because
can't name one YouTube show right now.
There's so much content. I mean, like it's an outrageous amount of content. There's always somebody streaming live. There's always something on Twitch. Like it's an endless amount. So I do think that at a certain point, the premium releases from studios, from production companies, they just all become interchangeable. They make less money. They spend less money. And then all content just becomes like a juiced up version of basically what's on TikTok, which is like the cheapest possible shit.
Sign me the fuck up. Well, I'm starting to feel that way about Netflix. Like Netflix became so saturated that the only way I was finding things was through word of mouth and social media. Like if someone was like, oh my God, have you seen such and such yet? I'm like, no. Oh my God, what platform is it on? And then I'd see it. Or if it was highlighted or had a great thumbnail, which, you know, something that I think Netflix does do a good job of that they don't utilize to its full potential is like that 20-second sizzle premiere, like trailer that they can highlight. They don't do it for everything, which is stupid. Like they should require that for every project that's submitted.
You don't get annoyed scrolling through though and it starts playing and you're like, I don't want to fucking hear something every time I pause.
Turn your volume off. Like I'd rather know what I'm getting into than watch the first 20 minutes and be like, oh, I want to slam my fingers in a door. But I feel that way about Netflix because there's so much fucking stuff there. There's just too much stuff. I get overwhelmed. Like I have every platform. Hulu, I have Hulu Live, I have fucking Cheddar TV. Like I have everything because I was like, I just don't want to miss stuff because this is our jobs. But Netflix, I found myself avoiding more and more. Like Tiger King might have been the only thing I was there for.
I canceled every one of my services.
You're kidding.
2 days ago. Well, that's not true. Sorry. Let me rephrase that. Definitely didn't cancel Prime. That's my most important thing in the world is Prime, and not for the content because it's fucking Prime. For Amazon, yeah. So I didn't cancel that, and I didn't cancel Disney Plus because the one series, whether it's Mandalorian or it's like WandaVision or something, like that's so I don't want to miss like a piece of that canon. Right. It's important enough to me. But everything else, what I realized was when I want to watch a movie, I buy it. Almost never is it available on one of the services that I pay for. Right, I was paying for HBO, Cinemax, Stars, Showtime, Shudder, and Netflix. Yep. And I was like, this is like almost $1,000 a year right now for shit where I'm spending $4 every time I want to watch a movie anyway. Like, I'm just gonna cancel all these because they're like every once in a while it's on there, but most of the time it's not. Yep. And I'm spending $4 anyway. So like so that was why I got rid of all that shit because I don't watch TV. I only exclusively watch movies. It's because there's like I'm part of this movie trivia show called the Schmodown, and it's we only get asked questions about theatrically released movies. So the future we're kind of fucked on now because obviously what that even means is like very nebulous. Shit. But to be as competitive as possible, I don't wait. It's not waste time on shows. I liked TV, but like it's 12 hours or something like that to watch a series versus like.
But you don't do that? Like you're not watching like Watchmen or whatever?
No, not these days. I mean, this is only the last couple of years since the show got bigger. But
I do enjoy a good series. Like I watched like a 6 to 8 episodes. I can fuck with hard, especially if it's a half hour. Ugh, sign me up. I watched I May Destroy You over quarantine. It's like the thing everyone is fucking talking about. I May Destroy You on.
I May Destroy You. I don't know it.
I want to say it's on Netflix, but it might be HBO Max. But it was something that everyone was talking about. Again, word of mouth, social media. It was up to like win every fucking award that was possible this season. And I avoided it purely because I guess I was at home and I was like, I can watch this whenever I want. Like the hype online is kind of done. I'll just get to it when I can. You know, I was finishing a bunch of projects. And then when I got to it, bitch, I got to it. I was glued to my television. I was like rushing Zoom meetings. I was like, yeah, I get it. This could have been an email. Boom. And then like watching it and I finished it like the same day. And I realized like, okay, that is something I will still pay for. And yes, it's annoying that like I usually for features am paying still $4. Like last night we watched Lucy randomly, Scarlett Johansson, and we had to pay $4 for it. And I was like, whatever, it's a good movie. I'm going to bite the fucking bullet for it just because like I know what I want to see right now.
I watched it for the first time like 2 months ago.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It was all right. I mean, it had some cool parts. I thought the ending got a little too weird and I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was good.
I echo that statement verbatim.
Yeah. It's like, it was cool. Like Luc Besson has a general history of like really badass women in his movies, and she's pretty badass in that movie. So
yeah, I was like, is this the easiest acting job she's ever done or the hardest?
Yeah, well, she's like 50-50 because I feel like last year she had 2 movies that were both like she was phenomenal in those movies, but that was like the best acting I've ever seen from her because like half the time I feel like Scarlett Johansson is just like, we don't want to kill you, but we will. Like I feel like she's like
the
not very good some of the time.
Like, and she was that's an older movie, Lucy.
2014, I think,
Oh, you're like the savant that can name like the year shit came out, right?
It's like that's like a category I'm good at in the show.
Got it. But they said she was 25 in that movie, and I was like, bitch, if she's still playing 25, what the fuck? Like, good on her, man. Good on her. But I also thought it was either the best or worst acting. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to tell. Well, so all right, so you talk about like ScarJo books that movie. It opens. It makes like $300 or $400 million. It's a big deal in 2014. And you talk about like one of the series you're watching. You hear about it from a friend. You go stream it. That one broke through, and you watched it, right? But I remember like You had a pilot that you had worked on with Tina Fey, right? Like quite a long time ago now.
Yeah.
And when you got that, like when it was,
Yeah.
it was a big fucking deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
The biggest deal.
yeah, and it didn't get picked up, but it was a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
Today, if the exact same thing was to happen, and you were to get like a pilot picked up with like a name attached that you were pretty stoked on, I feel like the confidence as a creator, whether you're the writer or an actor in it, that anyone will watch it or it'll matter at all is so much lower than it used to be.
Yeah.
And that's devastating to me when I think about the industry we're in. Like, the getting your break anymore doesn't even feel like a thing that like, there's no pathway anymore. Like, you have to just go viral on TikTok or something.
Well, you sound so upset about TikTok, and I am so ready for you to get pulled into the darkness.
I like really like it. What I mean is, I think the idea that if somebody just like posts a video of them eating a banana and it gets 22 million views, good for them. They didn't like work their fucking ass off for years to get a pilot.
Like, they're not going to become a movie star. They're going to become a banana brand ambassador and become very rich and buy a house in the hills, and you're going to be pissed about it because they're like 22. But like, they're not finding movie stars off of TikTok
yet. But what if the 22 million views on some really good looking young dude gets noticed by the right person?
Modeling, I think maybe, again, YouTuber. I'm not seeing superstar. And here's why, because you brought up a good point. I think the era of movie star is dying out with Tom Cruise. When Tom Cruise dies, the movie star. I forgot you are obsessed with Tom Cruise.
He's my guy. Yeah.
Are you still obsessed?
I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with Tom Cruise. No, he's like my favorite in the world. I love him.
Okay, then you're gonna love this. I have like so many stories because my friend's brother is Miles Teller, and he just finished.
Really? Yeah, Maverick. He just finished the sequel.
Yes, and the fucking premiere got pushed, and I was like, oh man. But the stories about Tom Cruise are crazy. But so my point being, like, I brought that up because we had been talking about Miles working with Tom, being like, oh, that's it. Like, no one gets treated and has the power that Tom Cruise does. Think about it. Like, any actor, even like a really hot, like up and coming, Captain America or whatever, does not get the same treatment because they're fucking replaceable now. And I think the idea of superstar, like mega movie star, I should say, not superstar, movie star specifically, is done with Tom Cruise.
It's literally Tom Cruise and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. They're the two. And
Dwayne The Rock Johnson is not a fucking movie star. He will be a wrestler first.
Definitely not.
100%.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson has more followers on Instagram than anyone in the world.
That's not a movie star. Does Tom Cruise have the most followers ever?
No. Okay. So the difference of what you're saying, because like the argument,
cinema.
Those two are the argument, right? But keep in mind for a second, like, it's not like Tom Cruise's movies open now and they outperform all the other movies. It's the way he's perceived is what you're talking about. It's the larger than life quality that if you were around him in a room, your jaw would somehow drop because like he's Tom fucking Cruise. That is the same with Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
But what I'm saying is, here's the difference between Dwayne The Rock Johnson and TC is that Tom Cruise never stooped down to digital. Dwayne The Rock Johnson was the first person to get a motherfucking YouTube Red show. Dwayne The Rock Johnson was like the first guy to start Instagram storying. Like, what I mean is like the secrecy and the allure that comes with movie star status is done because digital is too big. I mean, if you're a movie star who doesn't have social media, that's cool, but like people are actually less inclined to put you on a pedestal and posters in their room when they can't follow your personal life. Like, I think even Timothée Chalamet, who you could argue might be the next closest thing, posts on social media. Like, he's very like meme aware and like very involved in like culture and plays into it. But like, yeah, movie star, I just see is done.
Yeah, well, I definitely think that like with media coming down from that pedestal and like widening, it's just way harder to stand out in that way. But then you go and you look at like that I mean, this kind of comes back to the thing we were talking about a second ago about platform and about what is good content, right? Like what is good content is in the eyes of the world now determined by follower count and views. It's not determined by cynical. I'm saying, I mean, think about it. It's determined by follower count, views, and how much money it makes. If I could tell you like the same way, like you and I, we've been here 10 years. How many talented actors, you know, that are like so crazy talented, but don't have a job? And you're like,
you could say the exact same thing about movies. It's only deemed successful if it's got big numbers, made a lot of money, and had someone like famous in it.
100% true. I'm not saying that movies that don't have stars and don't make money are bad movies. I'm sure there's a lot of great ones. I've seen a lot of them, but the world won't remember them or care. It's the same way that you only remember who won the Super Bowl, not who got close to winning the Super Bowl. You just remember the winner. Like that's the thing. But
I think this idea that like your success is dependent on your follower count is so untrue, because the thing about digital is like there is enough room for everybody. Like the job that someone who's got 22 million followers and is like completely talentless will not succeed because that person's talentless. But there is enough room for everyone. Like it's not like fighting for one megastar position in Judd Apatow's next feature. It's like, no, you've become the creator, director, producer, editor, publisher, marketer of your own career now, being in like what we do. And it's like, I think that's no offense, I think that's like a pussy argument to say like you have to have a lot of followers now to be successful.
I'm not trying to say that like I believe that is the end all be all truth. I'm saying that I think the way that the world, especially those with money who are funding projects, perceive you and your ability to like be involved in their project or give you a job or build your platform is determined by that. That's what we've now been reduced to in the world, right? The person that writes the check every once in a while might be like, you know what? The barista at my local Starbucks is just so nice and so handsome. And it turns out he's an actor. I'm going to put him in this movie. Like, it's more often than not going to be like that kid with the banana on TikTok. That guy, he's funny. He's good looking. Let's bring him in for an audition. He's got 22 million followers.
But my point is like, I've seen the opposite where it's actually been detrimental to my hiring, where if I have a social media following, people have labeled me as like a digital creator or like a YouTuber, and they're not going to put a YouTuber or a creator in a feature film. Now you might get someone who understands why that's valuable. I have not seen that. More often than I've seen someone being like, oh, she's a YouTuber, we're not hiring her. Or, you know, it took me a while to shed the image of being like the BuzzFeed girl, because that's like how people knew me. And you would think like, oh, she's got a leg up because she's got followers. It's like, oh, no. That got me an agent, a manager, but it's whose project it is that finds that valuable, right? Like think about like Noah Centineo or whatever that kid was, to all the boys I loved or whatever.
Okay, sure.
He was a literal no one hot guy who was like a decent actor. When that came out, he got it was like the fastest growth to Instagram following in the history of ever, and it was because he was like a hot dude who played like a soft boy in a really popular Netflix series. It wasn't because he was like a good actor, but like now people are like, oh, if I hire him, I'm getting his like 22 million teams to watch it too. So like I would argue that it's almost like it depends on who the filmmaker is. If they're pretentious enough to not see following as marketing, then like, I don't know, maybe that makes them cooler and more indie. I don't know. Congrats to them.
This conversation was the most like meta industry conversation this show's
ever
had. No, this is good though. I mean, this is the truth of like what people are watching. And I think people will find this interesting.
Yeah, is anyone going to find this episode interesting, or are people going to be like two fucking entertainment bros jerking each other off?
Probably maybe that. I don't know. There's some good stuff in here.
Sorry, audience. Does your audience have a name? Do you have like a follower's name?
The nerds. We just, because it's the nerds in suits.
Sorry, nerds. Sorry, nerds.
Sorry, nerds. Yeah. Well, so as far as like the prospect to break through to that next level, though, when I talk about all those years ago and that pilot to now, are you happier now with the industry than you were then?
1,000%. I mean, back then I was going out a lot. I was auditioning a lot. I was getting hired here and there. I felt very naive to the industry because I was. I think the most valuable thing that has happened to me is working at like a very prominent entertainment, like it's technically a startup when I started there. Like BuzzFeed grew tenfold, even more when I was working there. No thanks to me. But I got to become valuable to other companies. Like when I left, I was then getting hired because of like the secret sauce that I had knowledge about. And I no longer had that impostery syndrome that I would walk into as like just an actor.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, oh no, I'm the showrunner. I know how to write story arcs. I'm literally an author now. Like I have an entire reel of director, like I can show you how to make something go viral, you know, that kind of thing. It just made me confident in my filmmaking abilities to the point where I felt like I didn't really need anyone else. Like I mean, Tina Fey endorsing my next thing would be fucking awesome,
Yeah.
but I don't need it to succeed and feel accomplished in what I've done. Whereas like before,
yeah.
You
feel like you're in control of it now. Like you're not waiting for the phone to ring. Like you're making the phone call.
Yeah. Oh, that's a fun way of putting it. But I also think that has to do with being an actor. Like being an actor and making it hugely successful is like 1 in a million. And I think I tried that path and like got a few hits, and like that hit keeps you coming back, obviously. But I don't know that like the dream faded, but I think it did a little bit because of watching big movie stars, like Jennifer Lawrence, right? Like that was my dream, was like to be a Jennifer Lawrence. And then like I've seen what she's had to go through and how the media has portrayed her, and I'm like, oh, that sounds fucking awful. Like she literally has to be like can't step outside her apartment, just go incognito everywhere. Fuck that. I don't want that. Yeah. So I think the image of like what actor was also has like changed a little bit. But I feel like you still in a heartbeat would like be the lead in a like CW show given the chance, right? Liar! You totally would.
Okay, like if you're saying, I mean, I went out for Archie, and Riverdale was the last significant audition that I had, and that was after I had already quit acting at that point. It was like a agent I still knew, the guy that was casting it, you know, reached out, and that was like the last one. That was like 5 years ago or something like that. I mean, I guess the answer is yes, because in theory it gets at least a few million viewers, and it's on for a season at least, or half a season.
And it's their job. You get to act.
Well, but I'm not an actor though. That's, I mean, I feel like, so I guess when we were hanging out in 2014, I was still like acting was a thing I was still considering myself a part of. Like I made the transition to hosting in 2014, 15. Yeah. And then that's been like 5 years. Like I don't really want to act.
Me neither. I think we both like met when we were like acting's the dream. And now it's like, when you get here, you kind of see that people like don't really like hold actors in that high of a regard. Like
it's also like, it also sucks because like, unless you're the actor, writer, director who with your large brand that controls you're just like, you get paid as much as they think they can pay you while still getting away with it to come and shoot your days. And then how the editing has nothing to do with you. And like, probably unless you're like the fucking star of a big movie, it was like really not that glamorous, and you don't really get to do very much work. Most of your year is spent just like trying to stay in shape and like look as young as possible for as long as you can.
Oh, the day my agents told me I couldn't go out for like high schooler anymore, I wanted to punch them in the fucking throat. I was like, how dare you? This industry is fucked up. This shit is so stupid. And then I was like, yeah, I forgot I'm 30 now. And I also have all these other accolades. I think like I'm curious to see how the idea of like actor and like star transforms over the next year, because people are already pissed 10 years ago when like YouTubers started becoming like just as legitimate as a movie star. But like the form of acting, I still don't think is, I think the like people think they're just dumb and hot now. Like people don't like respect actors as like creators or like visionaries unless they are like the 1%, you know, like the, I don't know, Timothée Chalamet.
The thing I would still, I mean, he definitely feels like he's like the heir apparent, like young hot guy, but that's like also that last year or two, you have to like really work to sustain that.
Yeah.
The thing I would still act in, given the chance, there was this series I wanted to write back in 2014 about me living with 3 cats. I don't know if you remember this. This was like this. I
do remember this. Why do I remember this?
Because we talked about it a lot. The cats' names were going to be Robert, Romare, and Leonard. And the whole idea was like, is my friend Steven that I worked with at the bar, like had this, like we talked about it at work all the time. And it was like this like satirical, like one-man comedy of like a guy that lived with these 3 cats, and he would have like real conversations with his cats, and they would have like real personalities. It was like this absurd idea that seemed really funny to me at the time.
Really good for
what? TikTok. Yeah.
You could fucking crush that on TikTok right now. I got a cat. You can borrow my cat.
I feel like, I mean, real cats would be great, but I feel like just like fake cats, you could just set up like a stuffed cat or like a really poorly fashioned cat, you know?
Yeah. Put whiskers on your face and be the cats. People like that shit too. When guys want to like be like act as a girl, they put a fucking washcloth on their head. And at first I started seeing all these guys with washcloths on their head. I was like, what is this? Well, I don't get it. And then I was like, oh, this is TikTok's way of a guy playing a girl character. How dumb is that? It's so dumb, but it's so funny.
Well, I'm going to be following your TikTok closely because it sounds like you've got all the answers. Yeah. But anyway, I know we're out of time. So thank you so much for coming on the show today and talking to me. I think this was a good time catching up. Guys, if you want to follow along with what Kelsey's doing, what's the thing right now that you're working on that you want people to check out?
Everyone go check out justiceforsoraya.com. It's a documentary I'm working on about Black mental health in the juvenile justice system. And my first book should be out by now.
This is one about panic. It's the panic attack one, right?
Mm-hmm. It's called Don't Fucking Panic. If you have panic attacks, anxiety disorder, or depression, it's a mental health guidebook, manual, interactive workbook about all this shit they don't tell you in therapy.
Wow,
$17.
Therapy's been very helpful for me, so maybe I'll read your book. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll send you one.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was nice catching up with you.
Yeah, you too.
Now, do you do that thing where like I click out?
I'm just gonna end the broadcast now, and then I'll like say goodbye to you.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much for watching yet another episode of a great conversation here on Nerds and Suits. I hope you enjoyed Kelsey Darragh, all of her fun stories, all of our funny industry jargon and good stuff talk about what's going on in the business, all of the TikTok talk. That was like the most TikTok talk you guys have ever heard on any Nerds and Suits broadcast. Though, you know, it seems like that's the direction everything is going. So maybe this was a sign of the times. I don't know. A big time thank you to my Double Diamond patrons here in the Nerd Network. A big shout out to Jake Iacovetta, Jeremiah Morris, and Thomas Goslin for supporting me at that Double Diamond level. Big thanks to everybody watching the show. And of course, all the names that you see scrolling right now in the credits. One more time, guys, leave a comment, hit that like button on this video. It does make a big difference to how the video performs. And if you haven't already gotten tickets to the show I will be playing on November 21st, it's my first live music show, full show in almost 7 years. There are 6 tickets remaining at the time of the posting of this video. So if you are interested, you guys can see the link to the tickets available down in the description, as well as the links to Kelsey's social, her book, a bunch of other cool stuff down there. So guys, thanks for supporting what I'm doing here. Enjoy your Friday, and I very much appreciate you watching and listening to another interview here on Nerds and Suits. Take care.